Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker. Now, leaders from across the world are coming out to congratulate Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on his re-election. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo extended a warm congratulations to Mr. Buhari for a second successive term. So also did President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, who in a statement says he looks forward to continuing to work closely with Mr. Buhari to consolidate mutually beneficial areas of cooperation for the greater good of both countries. Also from South Africa, the president in a statement says that President Cyril Ramaphosa paid particular focus on the strengthening of economic cooperation when congratulating President Buhari. Meanwhile, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Liu Kang called Nigeria an important strategic partner of cooperation in China's congratulatory message to him. And as the second phase of the Buhari administration begins, some Nigerians have expressed what they expect the government to tackle as soon as possible in order to get the confidence of the people. Our correspondent Chris Elems has this report.
With the declaration of the final result for the presidential election by the Independent National Electoral Commission, Nigerians now know who leads the country in the next 4 years. What do they expect from this administration? And what should this administration be doing in order to fix the shortcomings of the last 4 years?
First, I'll need them to find technocrats to run the economy. That would be a bridging factor between the people and the government.
Since they've banned importation of some goods, those goods that have been banned, they need to improve on them so we'll be able to produce our own locally.
Well, I think they should just improve on the power sector and then just give us light at least.
A major campaign point of the Buhari's administration in the last 4 years is the fight against corruption. For many, this must be sustained.
More people should be convinced at this time, not just to use media.
Yes, corruption is very key, but if you look at trying to restructure Nigeria, Nigeria needs to be moved forward. A lot of things, people are not happy. There is suffering, there is hardship in Nigeria. I think you should be able to look at that and put a smile on Nigerians' faces.
If the voting pattern of the election is a reflection of how divided the country has become, then this too is an issue that must be tackled.
The day me and you, as Nigerians, decided to be patriotic, decided to live by the basic principles of life and leave wastage, we will be fine as a nation.
We hope the president will assist as a father, pull Nigerians together so that we wouldn't split.
The country's budgetary allocation to education in 2018 was 7%, which is a far cry from the 26% recommended by UNICEF. Expectations are that more is done in this regard to improve the sector.
It's not palatable that the university system were shut down for some months. And they also politically were shut down for some months.
The school feeding program that Mr. President has started all over the nation, that one is going on very well.
The informal sector accounts for a substantial part of the country's GDP. For the operators, the government must show commitment to its growth.
I expect microcredit schemes that will offer soft loans to entrepreneurs.
As the new regime begins, it will make a lot of sense to deal with these expectations one at a time. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
Well, for more on those expectations, Yinka Oyeniji, an African Affairs analyst, joins us on the program. Good to have you on Network Africa.
Same here. Good evening.
So you've heard from a few Nigerians what they expect. Would you say it's better times for Nigerians or perhaps tougher times for the president-elect?
I think that it will reek of pessimism for us to say that it will be tougher times. It's a change of government, so we expect things to be better ordinarily, even though it's not a change from the person who still occupies the position. However, Nigerians must remain optimistic at this time. And irrespective of whoever wins elections, whether the elections are transparent or it seems to be fair and fair or not, we should give such occupants a chance to do better than they did the last time, even if they are re-elected.
So a lot of people have been speaking a bit generic, some are a little bit specific. For you, what area, what sector would it be?
It's a tough one for me. Now, hopefully not tough for the president, because, for example, we have to look at security again. I will not forget that Leah Shaibu is still in captivity. I will not forget, I just read before stepping in now that Zamfara has been attacked again. 40 people have been, so to speak, captured. So we have to address security, border patrol on the region, as well as economy.
We're still waiting to confirm that story.
Oh, yes, but the economy by itself, it won't come as a surprise if the world slips into another recession by the end of the third quarter. So Nigeria must prepare for this, all right? We need to strengthen the Naira as against the dollar. We are doing 362 now and say it's stable, then we don't know what we are doing. In the first term of the president, he had done a bit with respect to diversification, agriculture and all of that. And then infrastructure push. The railway lines, the new railway lines were a welcome development. Those have to be completed immediately. So that the president has been re-elected is not to say that things have been good, but it is more of a vote to say we can trust you to complete whatever you started in your first term.
Looking at the attention that the election had, some would say Nigeria, giant of Africa, you know, the presence also of foreign observers, domestic, but more internationally. How much, you know, has the outcome, and perhaps we also have another election coming, in terms of improving the confidence now of the international community about Nigeria?
That's quite a tough one, because if we are going to score INEC on a scale of 1 to 10, INEC will probably not even get 5. Right? We still have cases of violence. INEC wasn't going to ever do this alone. They had to do it in consonance with other security agencies. So we must avoid a repeat of the skirmishes that we had in the last elections. All right? We had card readers not functioning and all of that. So to improve confidence, I think that we had a problem with the last elections, because almost about the same figure of people who voted in 2015 voted this time, just at about 25 million people. Whereas we had a total of about 80 million voters. That means 55 million of us didn't get involved in that process. And that shows the level of confidence at the lowest ebb that we have in the electioneering process.
So you're saying voter apathy was responsible?
Yes, it was obvious. It wasn't voter apathy was a fruit of the problem. The seed was a lack of preparedness by INEC and the government. So that should be guarded against as we go into the gubernatorial elections.
Now, a lot of people might disagree with you. Many people have different ideas as to perhaps what caused that and why the numbers are that way. We also know that INEC is also discussing and, you know, looking ahead for the next election. But what would you say all the players should be doing since we have another election, especially with regards to preparing for that election?
It is important to keep the peace. Earlier today, I learned that there are pockets of violence in Lagos, and we are not even... It's not Friday yet. We already have this going on. So it is important. The president addressed Nigeria about 3 times before the elections in rapid succession. Now is the time that the president needs to come out again. Now is the time for the governors to say to their people, please keep the peace. Let's give this process a chance. Now for Nigerians, I by myself will not say come out en masse and vote. In some areas, it is relatively impossible to come out to vote. In areas where we have violence or we have real threats of violence, please stay indoors, all right? But for those who come out, it's not to resort to violence. It's to give the government a chance. I mean, we still have the courts to resort to. May 29 or June 12 is still some time away, all right? So even if the elections do not reflect your will or your desire, there's still an opportunity to have that redressed at the courts. There's no need to resort to violence. For whatever it is, this government is going away. Whether Buhari remains as president or not, it's his last term as president. We can move on to other things.
All right. I'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Yinka Oyeniji, African Affairs Analyst, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.